Good evening, everyone. As I am the webinar host, my name is Zehra. I am the Senior Research Associate at South Asia Research Institute for Minorities. Welcome to the webinar, Building a Positive Media Landscape Strategies to Combat the Hate Speech, presented by South Asia Research Institute for Minorities. We are presenting this webinar today to discuss the International Day for countering hate speech. As you all know, around the world, hate speech, especially online hate speech, is on rise. But its most dangerous place driven by the political insecurities and violence, where religions, minorities already suffer from discrimination. Social media storm can be wiped up and quickly lead to attacks on people and properties and the systematic targeting of entire communities. This webinar seeks the further initiative to address the root cause that contributes to hate speech and to enable effective response to the effects of hate speech on communities, especially on minorities, linked to the right to freedom of express. This online webinar is a rare chance to hear from experts on the grounds who are conducting groundbreak research to monitor and identify the expressions of hate speech and targeting religious minority. We are honored to have an outstanding panel of speakers who will share their observation, knowledge, and the role and the importance to combat and tackle the hate speech. Thank you all for joining in this important dialogue. But I have a little guidance. If you have any question, please drop your questions in the inbox. I will bring them up later. So our very first speaker, we are glad to have Manavi Atri from India, human rights lawyer working on fighting hate speech in Karnataka. She monitored the patterns of news coverage, their relations to people and the politics in Kannada media through her work and campaign against hate speech. Manavi, the floor is all yours. May you proceed now.
Thank you so much for having me today, and thank you for Sarin to be hosting this event today, this webinar. I wanted to actually start by introducing the campaign a bit more. So I'm speaking from Karnataka, and it's a place in the south of India, and we are a campaign or collective of about 10 to 15 volunteers who work on documenting and resisting hate speech through legal mechanisms. And I would want to share some of the learnings that we have had in the course of some years of our work. So just to start off with, in the next few minutes, I hope to be sharing some learnings around strategies and learnings and strategies both around the question of accountability. How do you understand the role of media, news consuming publics, and their responsibility towards a democracy? And finally, some thoughts on reimagining news. So I actually wanted to start the my presentation or just my sharing with the question that I often like to ask people when we are talking about hate speech is that what does it what does hate speech do to you repeatedly listening to hate speech videos, repeatedly watching posters which are hateful? And I want you all to answer that question. I don't know if chat box is open here, but if it is, then maybe on chat. But if not, I want everybody to just sort of stay with this question as to what does it do to be a part of this ecosystem of hatred. And I want to leave you with that thought to stay for the next 5-7 minutes as I talk about our work. And the reason I think it's important to recognize what does hate speech do to us individually and this ecosystem of hatred outside of us even necessarily being members of protected categories is that we're all in some sense consuming and very deeply affected by that hatred. And especially members from marginalized communities, from protected characteristics, such as based on gender, based on sexuality, based on religious minorities. It's across the board. In our understanding, hate speech is not limited to simply being hate speech and targeting against religious minorities, but also on the basis of your membership to, say, for example, a sexual minority grouping, or to a particular gender, or even to a certain caste, which is very, very relevant in the context of South Asia. So with this understanding of what is hate speech, what it does to us on a to a great degree is it dehumanizes members of marginalized communities. It makes them feel lesser than. It reduces their ability to participate in a democracy, and it reduces them to second class citizens. And this becomes important because it hampers not just their group membership, their participation, but also the fact that it hampers the way in which our social fabric in the democracy is operating. And with that, I want to talk about why is it that it's important to do this work of fighting hate speech, of resisting hatred. In our understanding of doing this work in a collective, we feel that one of the most one ideal, one preambular value which is very close to many of our hearts is the constitutional and preambular value of fraternity. And we think this resisting of hatred is a way for us to practice fraternity, and to practice Baba Sahib Ambedkar's ideals of you know combined associated living, and to be able to live together. And we feel hate speech deters that to an extent that we're not able to see each other as human beings anymore. And so, in the Indian context, it becomes extremely important to look at the guidance that the Constitution, that Baba Sahib Ambedkar provided for us to imagine an equal society and recognize the kind of harms hate speech presents today in us making that dream a reality. So, in the context of the work that we've been doing in terms of placing accountability to resist these kinds of harms of hate speech, in Karnataka, I can give you two examples. So, one is the example of the hijab ban, and rather the imposed hijab ban that we saw last year, and it's at that particular time, we saw the media, mainstream media, play a very particular role to lend legitimacy to these kind of hate speeches. And the role that they were playing was not of reporting, was not of uh, providing clarity on what the High Court judgment was saying, was not of providing any kind of constitutional framework of thinking or any kind of ground realities in that sense. Instead, what we saw, especially regional media, do was that it played the role of the arbiter, of the decider of whether they should be stopping certain students, Muslim students, from entering educational institutions. And this, mind you, even before the High Court had given its final judgment. Now the matter is pending before the Supreme Court, but even before the High Court had given its final judgment, it was only at the interim stage we saw the role that the media played of standing outside the gates of these educational institutions, asking one of three things: either asking the girls to remove the hijab, even when the interim order was not applicable on these girls, to chasing them in some cases, to take bites from them in vicious, wild ways of targeting them and forcing them to appear on camera. And three, even extending the imposition of the hijab ban towards teachers, towards parents, towards people who it was not applicable on. And so we saw that the mainstream media was not anymore just it was not playing the role of news media at all. In fact, it was going ahead and executing a kind of mandate and will of the Hindu right in Karnataka, and misinterpreting widely and willfully the High Court interim order to do that. The second example I want to share with all of you is the example of the attacks on Christians and the anti-conversion law in Karnataka. So much before the anti-conversion law came into force in Karnataka, 9 months approximately before that, we saw two channels, in regional channels, basically laying fertile ground for the arguments of saying that there is widespread forced conversions taking place, that there are Hindus who are under threat, and that there are Christians who are targeting them in certain ways. And you saw the channels play a very particular role of not just organizing, not just consolidating the victim identity of a particular community, but also providing them with the necessary legal tools of how to weaponize the law to incarcerate those from minority religions. And we saw this happening very openly in the name of sting operations, in the name of doing exposés, entering prayer meetings, which are not, mind you, large scale prayer meetings. These are very small prayer meetings of unorganized church in that sense, and they don't fall within the bracket of the either like the independent churches. So you saw how the Kannada media played a very incendiary role in basically allowing, and not just allowing, but weaponizing the law and teaching the certain kind of people to be able to target the Christians in Karnataka. And so, with these examples in the back of the mind, I want to draw now attention to what is it about news, what is it about mainstream media that legitimizes it, that legitimizes this kind of hate speech, this kind of violence, and how the consumption patterns are in the context of India. So there are one of two possibilities that we are seeing in doing this work. One is people who are right thinking, constitution believing people. They are not the people who are watching the news. Because of the toxic nature of news, because of the high pitches, people have stopped engaging with the news. And what this has led to is that we don't know anymore the kind of narratives, the kind of impact that these anchors are having on people's minds. And the second is that the people who are watching the news, the people who are seeing it as on TV and playing in the background, these people, there's some echo. Yeah. So these people essentially are not are not basically critically thinking about what the news, what is the kind of news owed to us as a public in a democracy. So what is our right as a news consuming public to be asking this our mainstream media channels that this is the kind of news that we want, and this is the ethical unbiased reporting that we are entitled to. And as news consuming publics, it is also our duty to hold them accountable, to hold news channels accountable, to hold print media accountable for whenever they especially are perpetuating these cycles of hatred, of propagating hatred. So it is these two kinds of patterns that we see of news consumption that plague this our understanding in fighting hate speech in mainstream media. And finally, just some ways forward as to some of the inspiring work that people and journalists are doing around us in providing a positive landscape are that there are alternate news mediums which are reframing the news as a whole. They are basically raising issues of representation, raising issues of articulation of the news headlines itself in newsrooms, such as the News Minute, such as Mook Nayak, such as Varta Bharti, such as Pari Network, such as News Laundry. All of these portals essentially are providing an alternate kind of news and pushing us to reimagine news, the framing of news, and what exactly does news mean specifically in the Indian context today. And it becomes extremely important for us to not just value these kinds of articulation of news, their internal critique of the news, whether it is in terms of caste representation in newsrooms, whether it's in terms of gender representation in leading positions like that of the editor, whether it is in the vocabulary that is used to refer to queer people in these newsrooms and articulating news around homophobia. In all of these contexts, these are some of the leading organizations, some of the people who are pioneering work for us to reimagine news in line with constitutional morality that we have, that we believe in, that our constitution has given us. And this offers us some way of moving forward to not just hold other media channels accountable, but also use self-regulatory mechanisms, also engage with the media, and eventually imagine a society which is, as a news consuming public, aware and demanding accountability with these tools that different alternative mediums are offering. With that, I will stop, and hopefully we'll be able to engage with more questions and thoughts, and would love to hear the other speakers. Back to you.
you. I agreed with you. Thank you for your expertise. You define it so nicely. So now we have moved on. I would like to welcome our next speaker from India, Muhammad Asif Khan. He is an Indian Muslim activist and social political commentator. He has already documented various cases of hate speech. He will share his observation on trends and challenges in hate speech, especially how they impacted Indian society. We valued your presence today. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarin, for inviting me again on this webinar. So, I will talk in Indian context that how Indian media playing a role to disseminate hatred into the community, how they are brainwashing Indian society, and how they are spreading the same kind of propaganda what I would say German media did under Hitler, or the Rwanda radio did in the 90s in Rwanda. So, as far as hate speech is concerned, why would anyone speak or publish any kind of message which will spread hatred and violence? It has more than one purpose. It's not like the media is a business actually. If we see it through different point of view, from economic point of view, Indian media or any kind of media is a multi-million or billion-dollar investment, and it is business. If they are not earning revenue from that business model, why would they continue it with? Anyone who is running Indian media houses here, they are the one who are getting millions of dollar or billions of dollar through revenue by spreading that kind of hate speeches. If And they know very well what society want to listen, what society want from them. If they know the society will not watch their show, if they will talk about such issues, they will not cover those issues. If they know they will not get TRP, they will not cover those issues. If they know that the revenue of their media houses will be, they will go into the loss and they will have to shut down the company, they will not cover the issue. So it is not a one way traffic. Actually, it's a both way. Media show people what people want to watch, what people want to listen, and then they brainwash them. Like if there is I would say, if there is some kind of spark, they will put a gunpowder into that spark and it will blast. So they already know that the people are like anti-Muslim agenda, people like some kind of casteist agenda or communal agenda, and then they will serve that agenda to them from their television studio, from their through their newspaper, or even the digital media houses. In India, now it is a business. So many people have opened their own YouTube account. All they do is just to spread fake news. If there is no news, then they will concocted a news, and they will show like such a thing happened recently. Like I think 1 month ago or more than 1 month ago, there was news that Bihari migrant worker from the Bihar, they were attacked in Tamil Nadu on a large scale. There are murder happening or such kind of things happening. Who stoke such kind of hatred? The mainstream media. And there were some YouTubers who had, they have their own vested interests into such kind of hate speech and fake news. Later, police investigated, revealed that the person who was a YouTuber who was spreading fake news, they even short videos like in a dramatized style and show people that they are getting attacked in Tamil Nadu. They were all fake videos. They literally recorded those videos into their own home or some kind of studios and presented it as a real incident. Why they are doing it? Because they are getting revenue through it. So now how to counter it? So to counter such kind of things, you need either legal support, you have constitutional institution, they will enforce the law and policy and they will stop it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work here in India. On 28th of April, Supreme Court of India says that state government need to file suo moto FIR if there is hate speech going on in their state. Even if there is no complainant, it is their duty to file an FIR. I don't think any state government has taken any strict action according to that Supreme Court guideline. People who have been spewing venom in their rallies or from their TV studios, they have been doing, they are still doing. No person was behind the bar. There was, no action was taken against the organization or those people who have been organizing such kind of hate rallies. No action was taken against those news anchors who sit in their TV studio every night and they propagate the hate and they instigate the violence in the community and in the country. So how do you expect any kind of positive action when you know that the powerful people who are sitting in the system, they are the one who are protecting them, those people who are involved. I think it looked like just an excess. The government not taking any action, those people, because those people also supporting the government's propaganda. You cannot expect anything from the society either because society are their biggest consumer base. They are the one who are watching them and they are the one who are providing them more TRP. I think the best solution is it's a lengthy process though that people need to go alternative platform. The speaker who was speaking before me, as she had mentioned some news minute or the news laundry. So there are so many alternative media in India who are doing, they are reporting from the ground. They are also trying to put a different point of view to the public. But unfortunately, their reach is very limited. They most of them, either they are regional based, so their reach is not out of one state, or they are in English. People don't speak. I mean, the majority of the Indian society do not read English media or they don't watch English media either. And most of the journalists, hardworking, or the I would say not hardworking, I would say the most of those journalists who were famous in India for I know they have huge fan following and they were quite critical of the government. Currently, they are unemployed. They are out of job. Ravish Kumar, who was a big name in Indian media, and he even won the Maxis Award. He quit NDTV last year in November, and not a single media house approached him for the job. Not a single media. This is the condition of the Indian media. Now these people are running their show on YouTube. They are running their own YouTube channel. But I don't think they would be able to influence a larger section of the society very soon. But it's a lengthy process, as I said. The people, the civil society need to work on the civilians first. You need to tell them whatever you are consuming through these media, it's not true. You need to tell them this is the true story. This is other side of the story. Please boycott this channel. And I know it won't happen overnight. I know it can't happen, within 1 year or 2 year either, because there is a huge polarization in the society. Everything is seen through their political lens. So people are highly, if a certain news anchor is not saying whatever in my mind. If he is criticizing my favorite political leader or my favorite political ideology, I would stop watching him. I would watch a certain person who is saying, just my words or who is reading my minds. So this kind of polarization is also a problem. And the biggest culprit in the whole game are those, I would say, the business entity or the corporate houses who are funding these news. The civil society who really care about the community, and if they really want to stop the hate speech, they want to create a positive media atmosphere and the positive atmosphere in the society as well. They need to force or the compel those corporate house to stop funding. If you cannot force those corporate house, if you do not boycott their product who are sponsoring those head shows every day, it will not stop. That day that those corporate house will feel that their product will, they can face any kind of economic loss. The society will not accept their product, or the society will reject their company or their brand if they continue to sponsor such kind of hatred. Then I think that They may, for their own vested interest and for their own brand, to protect the image and to protect their own financial interest, they will take a step back. They will say that okay, we will not promote or we will not sponsor such kind of shows, we will not promote such kind of head speeches or such kind of things. Otherwise, the consequences will be, the consequences will be very dangerous. We have seen in the past what happened in those other countries where the media and hate speeches were given a free hand to spread hatred and violence in the society. So I think the job of the onus is on the shoulder of those people now who are active on social media, on the ground, and those who are influencer. If they have their own audience, if there is a Instagram account, if there is YouTube, a YouTuber, we have a 2 million subscriber, for example, and he really care about the society and he really care about the communal harmony in the country. It is his job to talk about such kind of thing, and to, if he is a real influencer, if he has any kind of impact on the society, he would go to the society, to the people, and will tell them what is the reality, how to. It is all, everything is the game of the perception. So if they are making a negative perception, it's your responsibility to make positive perception against them. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your insights and groundbreaking reality. Thank you very much. So now the next speaker of today's webinar is unable to join live today, but he shared his recorded message to tackle the hate speech. Thank you, Mr. Prem Pariyar. He is a delegate of National Association of Social Worker and Human Relation Commission from the USA. Can we please hear his message?
Everyone has a right to free speech, which is a fundamental human rights. However, hate speech is not protected by the rights to free speech because it incites violence, discrimination, and intolerance towards certain individuals and communities. The impact of hate speech can be very damaging as it promotes a negative image of a particular group of people, instills fear, and can lead to physical harm, mental and emotional torture, or even death. Therefore, while free speech is important, it is essential to promote responsible and respectful speech that does not infringe upon the rights and dignity of others. Hate speech in the media and social media is increasing nowadays. To address media hate speech and build a more positive media landscape, there are several steps that can be taken. First and foremost, it is crucial to educate individuals and organizations about the harmful impact that hate speech can have on individuals and communities. It is also important to encourage media outlets to adopt more responsible reporting practices that promote inclusivity, objectivity, and accuracy. And this can be achieved through standards of ethics and guidelines which media houses should adhere to. In addition, there should be regulatory oversight to ensure that media outlets are held accountable for any biases or misinformations that they disseminate. Furthermore, promoting diversity and inclusivity in the media is crucial in creating a positive media landscape. This can be done by encouraging the hiring of individuals from diverse backgrounds, not only one community, promoting the representation of different communities in the media, and providing platforms for the underrepresented voices. So, lastly, audience education is another important part. This means promoting critical thinking about media content and encouraging individuals to consume news from a variety of reputable sources. Such steps can help to build a positive media landscape that promotes informed, objective and responsible reporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prem, for always being so kind with us. I appreciate your message. Now, I would like to invite Leslie Martin. He's a famous Dalit human rights activist from India. We are delighted to have you today on board. Please, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for this program. Hate speech, especially in Indian context, we have to understand this from the untouchability point of view. How the untouchability has initiated the space, the hate between touchables and untouchables. That should be the origin of discussion when we talk about the hate speech. Because I came across a incident of witchcraftism, where a developing family, with a Dalit family, with 1 acre of land, was not accepted by the sarpanch, who was in power position, who wanted to grab that land. And he initiated a rumor saying that their family or do witchcraftism. And he planted the kind of scenes that witchcraftism people believe in. So that helped him, the sarpanch, to get the husband killed, the husband murdered. Then the wife was not obliging to him. So then he created another rumor saying that the whole family is, they are developing family. And she was very strong because she had 2 sons and 1 daughter. They were doing the farming and they were reaping and they were not obliging to the sarpanch's dictates. So the kind of message that went on for about 6 months, and finally the whole village blamed her. And the one night in the panchayat office, they tied her, they poured kerosene on her hands, and they made the son to light the hands. They tied, poured kerosene on her cloth and tied the cloth to the hands of the woman and made the son, who was reluctant, who was not agreeing, but the whole village was standing and watching it. No one went and objected to that. So such is the power dynamics that which we have to understand when we are dealing with the hate speech. The hate is not coming from outside, it is coming from inside with the caste divisions that which we have in India. Because it's for a lower caste person to harm him or to hate him is easy, because untouchability practices coming. Even within a Brahmin family, if the Brahmin woman is on some ritual practice, her own husband will not touch her. If the husband touches her, she'll get angry. Or if the husband wants to touch her, if the woman wants to touch her, she'll become angry. He becomes angry. I experienced it in front of my eyes, because an old couple, Brahmin couple, the man fell in the bathroom and she called me. I went her and I was trying to lift him up, and I wanted to gather the help of the wife. When I asked her for help, the husband looked at me very angry. Very angry. I did not understand that kind of situation, because he was in a helpless situation of falling in bathroom, and we were trying to get him up, and I was taking the support of his spouse, and he was looking at me angry. So that's when I understood how these untouchability practices are deeply rooted into each caste, that they have to, the men and women, they can hate each other by those religious practices. So these kind of things that needs to be questioned, every religion has to question this kind of practices happening within their families. And this is the root cause for other people to stood up. Now, I am into a group where my old classmates are friendships into WhatsApp group. There, the person who is a Brahmin, he will not say anything. He'll say namaskaram and all. But the person who is from Vaishya community, he will be spreading the hate messages in the group. So even in the Hindu religion also, who has to spread the hate messages also very clearly they follow. This benefits the business community, because it's a business for them, because they need to have their own consumers. So if the businessman doesn't spread the hate message, he may lose the consumers because of the because he has depend upon Brahminical power structure. So this power imbalances, this power inequalities are the root causes that which we need to address, and we need to educate people in that manner. And every defender who is working against the hate speech needs support, because in this family, when the family became alone, the whole village, about 300 people were looking on it, they did not get any support. The boy who was reluctant as a son, he was supposed to light the hands, and the whole village was reluctant to help him. And when the case came, he was the first person who was attacked again by the landlord. So this is the kind of scenario that India exists. We have to realize it. And that's why this hate speech is spreading like anything. So we have to realize it. We have to uphold our reality, our education system, and then we have to question the governance. The governance is in the power structure, and we can understand why they're supporting the spreading of hate messages. For them, they just bring in a rumor, and the evidence will be planted by them. It comes in a rumor, and evidence will be planted by them. So in this whole context, the untouchability context, we need to understand and educate our own selves, and also give support to the people who are fighting against the hate speech, because they lack support. That lack of support is isolating them. So with this, I end my speech. Thank you very much for giving me the space. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and experiences with us. We all agreed with you. So without any further delay, I would like to invite Sumitra Magrati from Australia. She is a social activist and social mobilizer. She has led many campaigns on caste-based discrimination and other hate crime social campaigns. We appreciate you being here today with us. You are welcome to take the floor and proceed with your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Sarif has always given me opportunity to research and to speak, to express what I have been feeling. And this topic is very crucial to be discussed. So I come to know the topic is all about creating creating positive media landscape and strategies to combat hate speech. So one of the most noticeable trends in today's world is the enormous rise in the power of media, which we all know, and that can foster the unity or division with society. So firstly, I will be mainly focused on the how to create the positive media landscape. So it might help on your research, which you have keep the objective of this webinar. So first of all, to create the positive media landscape, what we can do is by defending against the fake news. In the context of Nepal, digital platforms are powerful. People are known with simply use all the media like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and so many. If one person upload one fake news, that can be shared by so many people, and that can be reached out to unlimited audiences. So just because of false news, that can affect an individual and community so badly. So we have been hearing about misinformation, disinformation, so which is created and knowingly and unknowingly share by targeting the specific group in terms of race, caste, ethnicity, or marginalized group. So hence before publishing any news by mainstream media and all, it is very necessary to find out the major source to publish the authentic news. And uh, otherwise, as we all know, that can lead the online violence and create so many issues in the community and individual level too. So my second point is that before publishing any news media, media house or any individual need to check fact. I think every country has different organization which can check the facts. So it is said that fake information hurts you, misinformation misleads you, and disinformation disempower you, and bad information divides us and undermines our democracy. So it is very necessary to be accountable, as our Manavi Atri ma'am said that it is very necessary to have accountability to any media. And thirdly, media can be the voice of voiceless. Our second speaker from from India also told about this. It is not about only creating news and all about the public figure and all. It can be the voice of voiceless, especially in South Asian country, in Nepal. There is so many problem in terms of casteism and all. If media publish an article and different kind of content regarding the social justice and all, it can contribute and foster to equality and social inclusion in the society. Finally, as a citizen, we have a right to know what the truth is. But we can also have a responsibility to share only true things, since creating social division and damaging the public trust in the media. Plus, those stories get shared a lot and attract traffic to the DocGO website also. So now I'd like to move on the second part, that is about how the strategies can work to combat the hate speech. So these days, with the easy access of social media, hate speech spreads so fast that can badly affect any community and people. So to combat hate speech, we can adopt different strategies. Like, first of all, we should know about the differences between the hate speech and freedom of speech. Since so many countries have already in democratic nation, so they have right to speak up, and we all can speak up. And I am speaking for my community, since I'm also belonging from Dalit community, and I have been speak up for so many things for the welfare of my community. So I have the right to speak up, and everybody has that right to speak up. But while speaking up, we should also firmly against hate speech. That should be start from ourselves, by thinking the freedom of speech let's not move on that hate speech. We all need to be aware of this. And secondly, we need to be focused on raising the awareness of the problem. What is the main problem? What is the problem that is creating hate speech, rather than spreading the hate speech? So we can also boost the positive message of tolerance as well. And if someone is creating the hate speech, then there need to be a law enforcement also, which is very crucial. Uh, since we all need legalization, we all have law as well. Which need to be implemented nicely. Then third thing is definitely media literacy is very important to everyone. And I think to conclude, we all must empower to recognize, reject, and stand up to hate speech, and need to act effectively. Whatever we are doing, whatever we are speaking up, we need to act effectively. Then only we can create a positive media landscape and can combat hate speech. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your informative and interesting views. Many thanks. Now I would like to invite Rimsha Shahid to share the screen and conclude up the webinar. Over to you, Rimsha.
Okay, so thank you. First, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all the distinguished guest speakers for their invaluable contribution in making this webinar, which is on building a positive media landscape, strategies to combat hate speech, and outstanding success, obviously. Together, we have explored effective strategies to foster an inclusive, responsible, and empathetic media environment on the crucial day for countering hate speech. As we all are aware that in today's world, the influence of media cannot be understated. It has the power to shape opinions, drive public discourse, and either unite or divide society. However, alongside its numerous benefits, we are witnessing a concerning surge in hate speech, amplified by digital platforms and mainstream media, obviously. To confront this urgent issue and foster a more inclusive and tolerant society, it is crucial to delve into effective strategies and practical approaches as well that can be implemented to cultivate a media environment that is free from hate speech. By recognizing the impact of hate speech and actively working to combat it, we are taking an essential step towards a more tolerant and equitable society. The insightful insights shared, experience, and the practical solutions discussed during this webinar will serve as a foundation for positive change, obviously within the media industry. Now, I would like to move towards the discussion our speakers have shared. Our first speaker, Manavi Atri, very rightly discussed that hate speech not only dehumanizes marginalized sectors within our countries, but also poses a significant threat to the smooth functioning of democratic societies. It surely undermines the principles of equality, tolerance, and respect by perpetuating harmful stereotypes and fueling discrimination. Moreover, the sensationalism and click-driven nature of media can insensitivize the propagation of hate speech. In the pursuit of higher viewership or engagement, media outlets obviously do that. They may prioritize controversial or divisive content, which can include hate speech. Efforts to combat hate speech are crucial in safeguarding the democratic fabric and promoting a climate of understanding and mutual respect for all. We really appreciate your suggestion and your efforts for combating hate speech through your campaign, Ms. Manavi. Following Ms. Manavi, Muhammad Asif Khan presented his views, particularly discussing the issues of hate speech in Indian media, which is a matter of concern. The impact of hate speech in Indian media is significant as it can contribute to the polarization of society, fuel tensions between different groups, and undermine social harmony. Hate speech can also lead to a real world consequences, including violence, discrimination, and the marginalization of certain communities. While agreeing with Mr. Asif's facts and figures that he presented during his discussion, I would like to add that media organizations should prioritize responsible journalism, adhere to ethical guidelines, and promote unbiased reporting. It is crucial to hold media outlets accountable for disseminating hate speech and provide mechanisms for complaints and redressal. Our next speaker was Prem Pariyar. In his statement, Mr. Pariyar emphasizes the importance of balancing freedom of speech with the need to prevent hate speech and promote a positive media landscape. He acknowledged that while everyone has the right to express themselves, hate speech can incite violence, discrimination, and harm towards individual and communities. To address this issue, he basically advocate for educating individuals and organizations about the negative impact of hate speech, encouraging responsible reporting practices in media outlets, promoting diversity and inclusivity for sure, and fostering critical thinking among audiences. I do agree with Mr. Pariyar when he said that by implementing these measures, a more informed and respectful media environment can be created. Then Mr. Leslie shared his views from a different perspective, mainly highlighting that untouchability and hate speech are interconnected in the context of caste-based discrimination prevalent in certain societies. This deeply entrenched system perpetuates social inequalities and often leads to acts of discrimination, basically exclusion and violence. He discussed that it further marginalizes and dehumanizes already vulnerable groups, instilling fear and perpetuating cycles of oppression. Addressing the issue of untouchability and hate speech requires a comprehensive efforts like promoting social awareness, education, and empathy, which are essential in challenging the deep-rooted prejudices that sustain untouchability. Our last speaker, Ms. Sumitra Magrati, presented solution-based discussion and shared that creating a positive media landscape to combat hate speech requires a collective effort from various stakeholders. She begins this discussion with promoting media literacy and educating individuals about responsible consumption, critical thinking, and impact of hate speech. Media organizations should adopt and uphold ethical reporting standards, prioritizing accuracy, objectivity, and fairness. Emphasizing diversity and inclusion within media organizations is essential to provide a comprehensive representation of different communities and perspectives. In last, she said that responsible social media use is crucial in collaboration with social media platforms can help develop effective mechanisms for reporting and addressing hate speech. So, in a nutshell, I would like to add that creating platforms for dialogue, encouraging intercaste interaction, and fostering inclusivity in all aspects of society are vital steps towards dismantling the system of untouchability. Media organizations, public figures, and influential voices have a responsibility to refrain from spreading hate speech and instead promote messages of unity, respect, and equality. So we encourage all participants to continue advocating for media ethics, diversity, and inclusivity in their respective fields. Let's stay committed to promoting empathy, understanding, and respect through responsible media practices. We extend our heartfelt appreciation to everyone who contributed to the success of this webinar. Together, we can surely build a future where hate speech has no place and the media plays a constructive role in shaping a more harmonious world. And thank you once again for your invaluable support and dedication. Stay connected and join us in future endeavors as we strive to create a truly positive media landscape. Over to you, Zehra.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, Ramsha, for concluding the webinar so nicely and in the right way. Thank you all for countering hate speech. We believe that by sharing our knowledge and views together, we can help the oppressed groups and other groups for becoming more proactive so that they can recognize and defend their human rights and acknowledge their own and other people's discrimination and act as a change agent. Thank you all for joining in this crucial discussion. I wish you all the best in future. Stay safe. Take care.